Divergent Fist is relatively simple. I mean, you probably clicked on this video wondering how the hell I can stretch out a discussion about Divergent Fist for 10 minutes. Well, Divergent Fist is an ability that is used throughout the entirety of the series of JJK, being used in some of the earliest battles to the literal final showdown with Sukuna. So obviously, spoilers ahead. So what actually is the Divergent Fist? In simple terms, the DF, Divergent Fist, since I'm going to be saying it a lot, is 2 hits with a single punch.
You could throw 2 punches that sound like one. He was throwing punches. You can hear them. There were 2, but they sound like in 1 punch.
Yuji is so fast with his physical speed, yet so slow at amassing his cursed energy at the start of the series that when he throws a punch covered in cursed energy, the cursed energy he built up slowly lags behind the speed of his punch, and as a result, the target will get hit with his initial punch, then also be hit again, but with the flow of cursed energy that follows, almost acting like a small cursed energy explosion. Now, whilst this is pretty simplistic, it has been shown time and time again to be the perfect attack to lure Yuji's enemies into underestimating Yuji's initial attack, only to be knocked off balance by the recoil of the second hit of Divergent Fist, and this is usually followed by a black flash. Is it a cursed technique? No, it's not. I mean, it's a pretty big plot point that at the beginning of the series, Yuji doesn't have a cursed technique, so it's very clearly not. Think of it more like a new shadow style technique. Hypothetically, someone else could use a Divergent Fist. You'd need to learn how to delay your own cursed energy or amass it in a slow way, in the same way you would seemingly learn a new shadow style technique. And if you could learn it, it's not a cursed technique. When specifically has it been used in the series? Who was it used against? And did it work? The first time we see Divergent Fist is all the way back in the Versus Mahito arc. More specifically, it is in chapter 20 of the manga and episode 9 of the anime. The technique is initially shown to us during the scuffle with the transfigured humans in the aftermath of the movie theatre incident. We see here Yuji use it to literally make holes in these poor souls that were transformed by Mahito. However, at the same time, we get a neat little flashback of Gojo explaining the basis for the technique itself to Yuji during a training session. Quite similar to Gojo's discussion with Megami later on in the series, around the time of the fight with Iso and Kechizu. But as I say, Yuji punches a hole through this poor guy, then feels guilty about it because it wasn't actually a cursed spirit. Next, this is used yet again in the Versus Mahito arc, however it is used to conclude the arc itself in this case. Chapter 31 of the manga and episode 13 of the anime. We see the fight with Mahito himself drawing to its conclusion. Just after Yuji breaks through the embodiment of self-perfection, saving Nanami, Sukuna cuts Mahito a fair bit since he inadvertently touched his soul. As Mahito is on the defensive, he changes the shape of his body and inflates it like some pyrocynical fan art, and yet again Yuji throws the Divergent Fist, hitting Mahito straight to the body. This time, however, Mahito pops like a balloon to confuse Yuji so he can escape through a nearby sewer gate. So the use of it here wasn't so successful as Mahito escaped and helped a lot with the Shibuya incident, so it didn't work out well here. Usage number 3, chapter 37 of the manga and episode 16 of the anime. We are well into the Goodwill event at this point. Yuji and Todo start their scrap, and as Todo is growing more and more infatuated with his new opponent, Yuji attempts to use his new signature move, the only name move he has at this point, but Todo is aware of this ability. He interrupts it by headbutting Yuji's fist before the second impact, looking kinda like Date from Hajime no Ippo. Todo understands what is causing Yuji's delay in cursed energy, so he helps Yuji visualize his own cursed energy flow from his stomach, reducing the delay in Yuji's cursed energy being amassed, meaning that Yuji grows stronger with this simple bit of advice. His cursed energy control significantly improves, and as a result, we don't see the Divergent Fist for a little while. Since Yuji was almost hitting Divergent Fist by accident before this point, because his physical speed is so high, but now with him improving his ability to amass cursed energy through visualizing his flow of cursed energy from Todo's tutelage, he gets a lot stronger from this. So whilst this use of Divergent Fist wasn't exactly successful, Yuji got stronger through Todo helping him out with it, which is a plus. Chapter 101 of the manga and season 2 episode 13 of the anime. In the midst of the Shibuya incident, we are granted the pleasure of viewing the battle with Yuji and his biological brother, Choso. During this fight, we see Choso and Yuji go back and forth a bit, Choso trying to keep his range and Yuji trying to close in and engage in CQC. But during the initial use of Piercing Blood that starts the fight, when Yuji takes damage and manages to rush Choso down, the best hit he actually lands on Choso is a Divergent Fist. There is a lot less to say about this usage of the technique, as it doesn't seem to do too much damage, and on top of that, this is literally the first punch Yuji throws in this battle, so it clearly wasn't too effective. So yeah, I mean, it still looks really cool in the way it's represented in the anime. Still pretty neat. Chapter 132 of the manga and season 2 episode 21 of the anime. As the conclusion of the Shibuya incident grows ever closer, as does Mahito's demise. After Todo's bluff of the return of Boogie Woogie, Yuji knows that he only has one more opening to attack Mahito. His instant spirit body of distorted killing form is active. Yuji, already being injured before Todo even showed up, has been fighting endlessly since the incident started. He only has one shot to try and end it. So he uses the technique that was originally made through his own error. He uses the second impact of the Divergent Fist to take Mahito by surprise, which it does, removing a piece of his new form. Then in turn, Yuji uses his Jajanken looking Black Flash to finish off Mahito. Well, not 100% finish him off, Kenjaku clearly did that, but Divergent Fist very much did its part here. Now, the next usage is the last usage, all the way in chapter 267 of the manga. Now, you may notice a huge gap in time, and that is because he didn't really have many times to use it again. I mean, Yuji fights Naoya and then Yuta and gets washed by both of them, so he doesn't really get a chance to use it. And during the Culling Games itself, he only really fights two Fodders who fly and Higuruma. And Higuruma gets Confiscation active, so Yuji can't even use his cursed energy in that fight, so, you know, no Divergent Fist. Anyway, chapter 267, obviously this doesn't have an anime episode yet. I mean, we haven't even got the perfect prep animated yet, so, but this is the very, very end of the Shinjuku Showdown, literally one chapter before Sukuna's death. Gojo is dead. Yuta is out for the count. Toro and Angel are recovering from black flashes. Kusakabe is probably healed somewhere and is just chilling, waiting in the Winchester for this all to blow over. Yuji is pretty much the last line of defense until Nobara wakes up from a nap and hits resonance at the perfect time. Due to the power of Gege's writing, of course, and as Sukuna's been fighting this entire time, he is weakened even further from said resonance, and as such, Yuji begins to advance upon him. Continuing the struggle between these two, using dismantles, trying to free Megami, these two exchange blows, until Yuji seemingly grazes Sukuna's cheek. Sukuna confidently attempts to press on until he catches the second impact. And in just the same way as Mahito, Sukuna gets baited by the second impact of Divergent Fist, and is black flashed because of it, which in turn leads to Mahito's defeat in the Shibuya incident, and Sukuna's defeat here in the Shinjuku Showdown. So, yet again, Divergent Fist stocks are up. Another huge win. Now that's pretty much all the time that the technique itself has been used in canon material. Let's discuss some of the questions that the technique has surprisingly caused. Could other characters use Divergent Fist? More than likely. As I stated earlier, it's not a cursed technique, so it's not innate. I mean, given the fact that Todo immediately recognized the technique without Yuji even saying its name, Yuji in this scene thinks of its name, he doesn't actually say it out loud. Todo recognizes it, calls it Divergent Fist, which suggests it's a relatively common thing to see sorcerers do. I mean, Todo explains it without Gojo's eyes. He immediately recognizes the flow of cursed energy and corrects it, so chances are any character with his level of cursed energy control could maybe also do a Divergent Fist. Granted, I mean, Gojo himself says it's something only a few people can actually master, which suggests a high level of cursed energy control is necessary to do it on purpose. Yuji was just kind of doing it accidentally because his body is so fast and his cursed energy initially just couldn't keep up. So to answer the question more concisely, yes, probably, but only with a high level of cursed energy control. Well, where else has Divergent Fist been portrayed? Since there isn't really many games for JJK, this section is pretty short. However, we have seen Divergent Fist represented outside of the anime and the manga. I mean, it was even in the light novels a couple times, as discussed in this video. We've also seen Divergent Fist portrayed in Fandom Parade, of course, in which Divergent Fist is just an ultimate attack for this rare blue Yuji. You're probably going to pull a million of him if you play the game. In this case, Divergent Fist is just an ultimate attack. It does a brick of physical technique damage, and it's in two parts, just like in the main series. However, we also see it in Cursed Clash. We see it in Yuji's gameplay as a standard special attack and as part of his auto combo. And on top of that, it's also Yuji's cooperative attack animation when he doesn't have a co-op attack partner. This animation itself is clearly trying to replicate its initial use against the transfigured humans. Its first use, actually. But in conclusion, overall, Divergent Fist, despite being the first real named attack Yuji uses, maintains somewhat of a presence throughout the entire series, being used against some fodder Mahito creations initially, and then finally being used to capitalize against Sukuna's desperation in the series' final battle. Granted, I'm not the biggest fan of the final battle, but that's a topic I've discussed before. So, that's everything you need to know about Divergent Fist. Thank you all for watching. Doodles my doodles. Hope I see you in the next one. Peace.